How much snow and cold can we expect this winter? How to keep you and your family safe when driving conditions turn hazardous. A behind-the-scenes look at how school snow days are decided. How to protect our furry friends in freezing temperatures and more. It's the News 13 Winter Weather Special.
Hello there, everyone. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jason Boyer. An Arctic blast already brought strong winds and blowing snow, delivering an early and intense dose of winter to the mountains. Temperatures plunged, turning I-40 into a skating rink, trapping drivers on the closed interstate near Candler. At Sam's Gap, snow piled up on the roads. Faust saw one of the highest regional snow totals at 7.5 inches. At Asheville Regional Airport, the official measurement was only 0.2 inches. However, it made it the third highest snow total for November 10th. It has many folks questioning if this is a sign of what's ahead. A rough winter? Well, over the next half hour, we'll break down the science behind the forecast, what you can expect, and the best ways to navigate icy roads and protect your pets.
I'm Megan Dana. Hey, Jason, that early cold snap you just talked about paid off for local slopes, jumpstarting the new ski season. Cataloochee Ski Area's manager says they got about 3 inches of natural snow back on November 10th, and temperatures well below the freezing mark allowed them to produce nearly 2 feet of snow with those guns going full blast at the bottom of the mountain. With the cooperation of Mother Nature, Cataloochee opened Wednesday, November 12th, with about 3/4 of their runs open.
We get lucky every once in a while. We get the natural snow right in the beginning and this kind of cold temperatures.
The cold snap was short-lived. Warmer temps, of course, moved back in. Cataloochee's earliest opening was October 28th, 2008, and their longest season was 149 days long back in the 2012-2013 season.
Now, before you pull out the heavy coats or stash the snow shovel, we're tracking climate patterns thousands of miles away. The winter outlook starts in the Pacific, where El Nino and La Nina shape our cold weather storm tracks and what you can expect this season. So we are looking at the equatorial Pacific Ocean, and when it is warmer than average, that is an El Nino year. When it's cooler, it's a La Nina year, and the storm tracks are impacted differently during El Nino years. That subtropical jet stream becomes more active, and during a La Nina year, the polar jet stream becomes more active. Well, we are expected to be in a weak La Nina through January.
And we will talk about how that affects snow totals in just a bit. But along the Appalachian Trail, near the North Carolina-Tennessee line, sits one of our snowiest places here in western North Carolina. Meet the man in Faust who records every flake and why his data matters.
I love it. I'm up here every storm.
There's a place high in the Blue Ridge Mountains where, if you like snow,
Yeah, we really do ring it out.
then this might be
Paradise. You know, I've been a lot of places in the Blue Ridge Mountains, but this place just really calls to me.
It's located right up against the Tennessee state line. A bit of a hike for sure, but one Tim Davis is familiar with.
If you like nature, this place is it. A lot of people here, they joke around, they call me the unofficial tour guide.
That's because he's been coming to this place quite often over the past 8 years.
Now that I know this is here, even if I didn't live here, I would hike in regularly.
Tim grew up in Columbia, South Carolina, where it rarely snowed during the winter. But after moving to western North Carolina in 2017, it's now become rare for him not to see it. A lot of it.
We'll just dump snow right here.
And he's got the pictures and videos to prove it. On this day, however, no snow, just plenty of clouds and wind. And the wind is what drives the snow-making machine up here.
But when the wind veers more north-northwest or northerly, there's nothing above 2,000 feet between us and the Great Lakes.
Wind blowing across the Great Lakes hundreds of miles away grabs moisture and slams it into the Appalachians, particularly here atop Big Bald in Madison County. So much so that there have been years where the snow has been on the ground for nearly 2 months.
2018 just stands out to me because even some of them that weren't huge, They just happened like every couple of days over and over again.
The trek up to the top isn't easy, especially in the often extreme conditions.
You get used to your extremities being frozen. You get used to having to clean your vehicle off. You get used to how you have to drive down the mountain in the snow.
And while many might quickly tire of this, Tim never does.
If you really love snow, if you really love to see things like that, the Appalachian Trail, but especially Roan Mountain, Max Patch here, it's just on a whole other level.
Even though the ground lays bare now, winter and good snowmaking weather is right around the corner.
But if I had my way, we would probably have a couple of major northwesterly flow events. The long duration ones, I love them.
Asheville's longest snow drought on record is not 1 year or 2 years. It's nearly 3 years without measurable snow, 996 days from March 13th, 2022 through December 3rd, 2024. Not a single tenth of an inch was recorded. But that's only one side of Asheville's snow story, because this city has seen some heavy winter storms. Our top 5 heaviest snowstorms include the blizzard of 1993, and all of these storms happened before the 2000s. While recent decades have brought fewer strong winter storms overall, those big events can still be possible when weather patterns line up.
It's a lot easier to prepare when everything's calm.
Long before the first flakes fall, NCDOT is already preparing what they test to stay ahead of winter weather. And winter's biggest threat may be under your hood, the easy fixes to keep your car running when temperatures drop. Forecasters track the jet stream, storms, and atmospheric patterns to predict where cold air and snow will hit. Here's how this winter's forecast comes together. One of the features we look at is the Pacific North American Oscillation. What that is, in a positive phase or a negative phase, is the difference between high pressure that's west over the west coast and whether or not low pressure sits over the east coast. In a positive phase, we typically see high pressure over the Pacific, bringing warmer air to that part of the country, and then a jet stream that dives south and plunges the colder air down into our neck of the woods. With a negative phase, the opposite is true. We typically see low pressure over the west coast with high pressure over the east, and that usually brings warmer weather and less active weather to the east. The other caveat will be the Arctic Oscillation. We'll be watching for this to slow down and become negative in terms of its phase. If it does so, there will be more cold air coming down across the U.S.
Now, the worst part of winter isn't the snow, it's driving in it. From black ice to freezing engines, the season brings hazards that catch drivers off guard. I spoke with Appletree Honda's service manager, Rich Lupo, for some simple steps to winterize your vehicle and stay safer on the roads.
Karen, one of the most important things is checking the health of your tires.
Lupo says having good tires with deep tread is essential, but you need more than a gauge or a penny to make that assessment. The service manager recommends you turn your tires where you can see both sides.
And you can see this tread right here is much less pronounced than that same identical tread on the outside of the tire.
Lupo says you should also get your battery tested, since cold air puts much more of a strain on it. Why is it important to get that battery tested even when it seems like your car's running well?
One of the drawbacks to some of the newer technology is that they're more like light switches now, where you won't get any indication and then you'll come out with a car full of groceries and it will not start.
Wipers need to be in good shape.
Make sure that the rubber is nice and pliable. Resist the temptation to smack your wipers against the windshield to clear them. It will cost you a windshield.
According to AAA's winter driving tips, drivers need to take it slow and increase following distance. Also avoid stopping while going uphill. As for ice, Lupo says avoid it if possible.
If you're on a sheet of ice, you're on a sheet of ice and there's not much you can do.
One thing Lupo says is even more dangerous than driving on ice, driving on wet leaves.
A thick layer of wet leaves is as dangerous, if not more dangerous, than ice, just simply because it's not recognized as ice is.
Lupo says you also need to have an emergency kit in your vehicle in case you get stuck. When winter weather hits, the roads are cleared in a specific order to keep most people moving safely. Crews start with interstates and major 4-lane highways critical for regional traffic. Next are other U.S. and NC highways, followed by paved secondary roads. Unpaved secondary roads are treated last. Each truck follows a designated snow and ice route, so if you see one driving but not spreading material, it's likely headed to its next assigned roadway.
We start at 4 a.m. here at the transportation office.
What really drives that all-important snow day decision? Education officials walk us through their process. Snow, sleet, freezing rain, they are not the same, and the impacts aren't either. What causes each and why it matters for your safety. Knowing the difference between snow, sleet, and freezing rain matters. The risks aren't the same. To get a pure snow, we need sub-freezing temperatures all the way from the cloud down to the ground. Oftentimes, we have sneaky layers of warmer air out there. As a snowflake falls through a shallow warm layer, it melts into a water droplet. Back in a sub-freezing layer before it hits the ground, it refreezes into a sleet pellet. Now, snow and sleet are at least a little easier to drive on because their texture can allow for slightly better tire traction. The most dangerous winter precipitation is freezing rain. When those snowflakes fall through a deep warm layer, they all melt into water droplets. A thin layer of sub-freezing temps at the ground level will cause those water droplets to freeze on impact, coating everything in layers of ice.
In Buncombe County, the decision to delay or close school during winter weather comes down to what road crews find before sunrise. It's a call made while most families are asleep.
We travel 15,000 miles a day carrying 10,000 students on 205 buses. We start at 4 a.m. here at the transportation office just to be sure that we have somebody on the road really early in the morning so we don't get caught with any kind of odd freezing, falling precipitation and put our students at risk. As the storm continues to develop, we chase the storm. We look in the different areas in Buncombe County, as I like to call hills, hollers, and coves. We go into those hills, hollers, and coves looking for slick driving conditions. It's really imperative for us to make this decision by 5 o'clock in the morning so that we can make a good decision for the next day, whether it be a 2-hour delay or no school.
Road checks are combined with updates from County Emergency Services, the North Carolina Department of Transportation, Highway Patrol, and other local emergency responders before a final recommendation is made.
Safety of students, families, and our faculty are our top priority, and we make our decisions out of abundance of caution for that reason.
Cody says the district starts with the forecast, but the final call depends on real-time road checks, including changing air and asphalt temperatures across the county.
Buncombe County is pretty large and geographically diverse, so we know that conditions in one part of the county may not mirror the other part of the county. If we can have school, we want to have school, but we also know that inexperienced drivers, our buses, families all have different transportation needs.
Once the decision is made, families are notified through the district website, local news, social media, emails, texts, and district phone calls. School closures due to winter weather will happen when early morning road crews find conditions buses can't navigate. This decision is made to keep students, staff, and families safe and off dangerous roads.
When the snow starts falling, plenty of you grab your cameras, and we love it when you share those pictures with us. Let's check out some of the recent chime-in pictures shared. Frosty temps this month gave us plenty to look at, including this shot from Van Burnett capturing fresh snow on the craggy mountains. Beautiful. And our next photo is from Tim Eller, who captured this frosty scene near Huckleberry Knob in Graham County, where the branches were glazed in a layer of winter frost mid-November. And our final image from that recent blast of snow comes from Kristen Carroll in Asheville, a bright maple framed by a fresh layer of snow. You can send us your winter pictures by going to WLOS.com or our News 13 mobile app and clicking on Chime In, and then submit your pictures under the weather category anytime the mercury drops.
As the winter months set in and before our coldest nights, there are some steps you can take to protect the plumbing inside your home. Megan Danahay has some tips to keep costly damage at bay.
Water expands when it freezes, so you want to remove hoses in the winter. Water left in a connected hose can freeze, and that ice puts pressure on the pipes inside your house. If you don't have a frost-free spigot, it's a good idea to get an insulated faucet jacket. You can grab them at any hardware store. At my house, I have 2 sinks located on exterior walls, and on our coldest nights, I worry about that plumbing. To help keep the plumbing warmer, I open the cabinet doors under the sinks to let in more heat from the house. I also leave the faucets dripping in those 2 sinks whenever we have a hard freeze. Water running even at a trickle can keep pipes from freezing and bursting.
On average, these do stay about 20 degrees warmer than the outside temperature.
When temperatures plunge, we worry about animals out in the cold. We always say to bring them inside, but what if you can't? Coming up, we show you how to build a safe shelter with materials you might already have at home. As temperatures drop, calls to animal shelters spike, and feral cat colonies, which we've seen increase since Helene, across WNC face freezing risks. Skylar Wessendunk with Sarge's Animal Rescue in Waynesville shows us a simple way to keep them warm.
It's just a simple tote bin. 25-30 gallon is sort of the size range you're looking for. You know, think a couple of cats kind of thing to fit inside. And what I've done,
maybe a mama and some kittens.
Maybe some mom and kittens, exactly. And what I've done is I've taken just a regular box cutter and cut a hole in the side about cat size. They're smaller than you'd think, basically just the size of their head, a little bit bigger for them to go in.
Plus they can get into spaces like that.
Absolutely, they can get
They're
everywhere. And then other than that, it's just, this is reflective insulation. You can just get it at any homeware store. You can get a big roll for like 20 bucks. And then just duct tape. Good old duct tape.
Duct tape fixes everything.
Absolutely. And so basically what you do is just cut a nice good piece that goes around the inside here. And then you would duct tape this in place. And then I have a piece for the bottom that goes right in, insulate your bottom layer, and then a piece for the lid that would go right on top like this. And you just duct tape it all together, cut yourself a hole in your insulation for the cats to actually come in. And so when you're done, your entrance will look like this. I went ahead and put some tape around the edge just because it was a little bit sharp, so I just kind of lined it with the duct tape and cut a little hole in my insulation there. And then on the inside, it should look like this. So basically just lined with your insulation, just a couple pieces of duct tape, and then you fill the bottom with straw. So it's super important that you use straw for this and not hay.
Now, things we think are comfortable and warm, like towels and blankets, stay wet and cold, making them a bad choice for your outdoor shelters. Straw stays dry, it's more sanitary, and it's easier to replace. Sarge's is actually seeking donations to provide these free shelters, and you can help at WLOS.com.
It's that time, a final look at this winter's outlook and our official forecast. Let's take a look here first and foremost at what weak La Niñas typically bring here to Asheville. When you average out all of the weak La Niña years, it comes down to around 10 inches of snow in those years. But we've had some big snows and we've had virtually no snow in La Niña years as well. So we'll see how this plays out right now. In Western North Carolina, we are thinking milder and drier overall. A bout of cold and snow at times, but those bouts of cold and snow short-lived overall. Let's break down the French Broad River Valley. We go from the southern end of the valley with 6 to 8 inches on average of snowfall. The northern end of the valley averages 8 to 12. We think that's where it's going to fall this year, somewhere between 6 and 8 for the southern valley and 8 to 12 inches for the northern end, and warmer than average temperatures overall too. That includes Asheville, Hendersonville, Brevard, and Mars Hill. Average snowfall in the mountains in the southern areas, 5 to 9 inches for the valleys down in Franklin, down in Cashers as well. That's our forecast. We think 5 to 9 inches is expected for you in those areas. And as we go into the mountains farther north, the south central mountains are looking at average valley snowfall, 5 to 9 inches. Big snow totals, of course, in the Smokies up to 60. We think that's our forecast, 5 to 9 inches for the valleys and about 20 to 60 in the high elevations. Average snowfall in the northern mountains, 12 to 16 inches in the valleys, 30 to 60 inches in the mountains. That is our forecast, 12 to 16 for valleys like Burnsville, Bakersville, Spruce Pine, also warmer than average. And the foothills looking like 5 to 9, or 4 to 8, I should say, on average. And that's our forecast, 4 to 8 inches. So we'll see how this forecast goes. But the idea is winter is certainly always going to bring some kind of surprise. We certainly appreciate it. And there's your winter weather outlook. Near normal snowfall, overall mild temps, cold snaps likely short-lived. Hey, we hope you prepared for our winter, and we are certainly going to be here for you throughout the entire winter with the latest watches and warnings. Thank you.